We are born in the passenger seat of our own life. You're not born with control of your own life. You're born with the illusion of control. Have you ever seen the opening credits for The Simpsons? So the video, I put the link in the blog post here today, but young Maggie thinks she's driving the car in one of the parts of this opening credits. We, the audience, from our perspective, think ourselves she is driving. And then what happens is that the shot zooms out, the car zooms out, and we see that's actually Marge, her mother, driving. And what Maggie has in front of her is a toy steering wheel. She has the illusion that she's driving, but she's not actually driving. And I used to do this with my younger brother, poor Oscar. When we were playing PlayStation when we were younger, and Oscar would want to turn, we'd hand over the remote that wasn't plugged in for a one-player game while we were playing. So basically, Oscar thought he was playing, enjoyed everything, was having a good time, but he wasn't. He wasn't playing. And it's a win-win. When ignorance is bliss. So welcome to the With Joe Wehbe Podcast. Today we're talking about this idea that we're born in the passenger seat of our own life. And I love that example from The Simpsons because I just think it's so reflective of certainly how most of us start and sadly most of us finish our days. Back to the blog. We are not born with an understanding of Astro the dog, which I've referred to in the past, or the widening gap between our biological and cultural evolution, which I've also referred to in the past. How can we be? For that reason, it makes sense to believe we are steering our lives of completely conscious volition. It is easy to believe that we steer our feelings, whereas in truth it is our feelings which steer us. That is, unless we decide to develop the vices to master them. We follow the rest of nature in this way. It is this which sets humanity apart from the animals. One of our most complex questions is that around the free will of our neighbours on this earth. For example, how much free will do the penguins have on their arduous marches? To what extent do the members of nature opt in to their lifestyles? Or are they driven only by impulses all their lives? Impulses which have been implanted by natural selection over time. More than any other creature, our species has the opportunity to taper these impulses for more sophisticated coordination and action. So it's very interesting, and I don't mean to say at all that other animals, which they do appear to be completely driven by instincts over their life, have it worse in many respects. And if you listen to Anthony DeMello or read Anthony DeMello, they probably have it better than us. But we have more self-awareness, or in general, awareness, I guess, than them, which makes the lack of control a bit more painful. It's the lack of control, but the frustration for a lot of people not understanding that Astro the dog concept, that there's a dog running a lot of your brain. So why is this bad? Actually, first, how does this happen? So the point about the passenger seat is that you are born pre-wired with certain instincts. We've talked about that. If we weren't afraid to have a respect for heights, and for most of us it's a fear of heights, we wouldn't be able to learn that by trial and error, because the first time we went off a cliff, we would go all the way down. There'd be no opportunity to learn. It's very different to grabbing a hot kettle and learning that something's hot, not to touch it. We have this natural fear of heights to some extent, and that boosts our odds of surviving. So for that reason, so that any animal can survive better, it's got a certain amount of pre-wiring that's allowed it to get that far. Again, talking about evolution and natural selection. And we're no exception. But because of that, we don't actually have that much control over impulses. It's like when someone clicks in your face and you can't help but blink. But we have way more sophisticated, way more psychological, and way more problematic impulses that we can't taper. So there is some wiggle room for how we can take control of the wheel, But it's not done just by sitting there. It's not done just by accident. It has to be a choice. So we're born in the passenger seat. Why is this dangerous? It's dangerous if you stay in the passenger seat because, like my brother playing, and he's very well aware of this, what we used to do to him when we were younger. But at that time, he was enjoying the game. Again, that was a win-win. There was no loss conceived of in his eyes at the time. He feels a bit cheated now. The problem's not there. The problem is rather when you're being steered, you're handing over your destiny to someone else, whether it's your wiring or whether it's those around you. So it's all well and good if people and things in the general stream of life is just going to lead you somewhere great. But if the stream's headed for a waterfall, if you never take control and stand up and start being intentional about your own life, then if there so happens to be a waterfall, you'll be going off the edge. And if there so happens to be a car crash, you'll be in the car crash. And hence the importance. Tomorrow we're going to talk about driving as opposed to being the passenger. But for now, just remember the blog is on the website. We are born in the passenger seat of our own life if you want more. And a reminder, because I haven't done it in a while, if you've just joined listening to the podcast, don't forget to go back to the start because these are made in a particular order for which they are, in my opinion, best consumed. But always your reminder will be above and beyond anything else to remember to share this with people it could help, because the best way to open 1,000 doors for you is to open doors for others. Thank you.